Hey guys, you know what time it is. It is time to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of July. Probably my favorite video to film because I feel like it's just such a great conclusion to the month and just such a great start to a month. And I just love these videos so much. Alright guys, so the first book that I read this month is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Okay, so this book is about a girl named Alexis, and she is an ER doctor. She lives in a big city. She then comes across this small town and meets this guy named Daniel. Daniel is a carpenter and he also owns like an Airbnb, and they kind of cross paths and they decide that they like each other. So they become, I guess, a friends with benefits sort of thing. But Alexis starts coming to his small town. So yeah, basically you're just seeing this relationship bloom between them. And I really loved this book. I gave this book a 4 stars. I just felt like this book was such a perfect rom-com. It was just so sweet, so genuine. I just really loved the romance that bloomed in this book. I really fell in love with these characters, and I literally fell in love with Abby Jimenez's writing. Her writing just flowed so well. She has so much dialogue in her books and not a lot of like describing factors, which isn't my favorite thing in books. I love dialogue. I love when things flow really well, and the way that she writes, like everything flows really nice. So yeah, this book was a great start to my month. So then directly following Part of Your World, I then went into Yours Truly, which is, I guess, technically the second book in this companion series. And this book is about a girl named Brianna, and she is a doctor. She is actually Alexis's best friend, and she is pining for this promotion. She runs into this guy named Jacob, and he is also, in her eyes, like in line for the job, and she thinks that he's gonna get it, but they actually she is actually going through a lot. Her brother has a lot of problems, a lot of health issues. She's going through a lot of mental issues as well because she just broke up with her boyfriend. She's just having a lot of issues, and her and Jacob basically meet, and the way that they meet is not exactly amazing. So Jacob decides to send her a letter, and they basically start to send really cute letters back and forth of apologizing and also getting to know. So it's basically just bad first impressions in this book, and you basically just see these two just start this really amazing relationship. Jacob in this book also goes through a lot of anxiety and anxious stuff, and I am also a very anxious, panicky person, so a lot of the things that he went through in this book I could relate to. I just really fell in love with Jacob in this book. I mean, he was just such a sweet character. So I actually gave this book a 4.5 stars because I ended up loving their relationship, loving this book, falling more in love with Abby Jimenez's writing. I literally loved it. The one part that I didn't love was the third act breakup that happened. It kind of turned me off to giving it a 5 stars, but I still enjoyed the story nonetheless. So the next book that I picked up is Never Lie by Frida McFadden, and this is about some newlyweds named Alicia and Ethan, and they go to this house that they are trying to buy and can actually rent out for a couple days. And previously this house was owned by a famous psychiatrist, and in their staying they actually find a room with hidden tapes of this psychiatrist's sessions with her patients, and the things you uncover in this book are literally so crazy. This was such a great quintessential psychological thriller. I gave this book a 4 stars. I really loved this book. She's just such an incredible thriller author. She writes the best twists. She always keeps you on your toes. She's just the perfect author for psychological thrillers. Okay, so the next book that I picked up is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, and this is actually her brand new novel that just came out, I think, like a month ago. But this is basically a second chance romance book about this girl named Fern and Will. Fern is basically owning this resort that she has that has a bunch of cabins, and Will comes back, and basically there was a promise 10 years ago that they would meet in 1 year, and Will did not follow through with that promise. So you're basically finding out why he didn't follow through with that, and like these different timelines of when they met. I gave this book a 3 stars, and that is not because of Carly Fortune's writing. I actually loved her writing. It was so easy to get through this book. It's a 3 stars because there's this one trope that happens in this book where it's kind of like crossing the lines in some way. It's kind of emotional cheating in a way, and I like don't vibe with that. I feel like emotional cheating is worse than physical cheating, and there was like heavy emotional cheating in this book, and like the whole times that it would happen, you're basically supposed to be like vying for this couple, and I would be sitting there and I'm like basically cringing at the book because I did not enjoy that part. So I loved her writing, I just did not like the tropes that she used in this book. Like, is not my thing. No. Okay, my friends, then we get into the very first 5-star of the month, and that was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I like can't even explain my love for this book. Basically, this book is about a girl named Iris, and she works for like this newspaper company in this world. I'm gonna tell you, the time kind of reminded me of like the 1940s, but in a fantasy world with like gods and war, if that makes sense. So basically, she works for this newspaper company, as does this boy named Roman, and they're basically fighting for the same promotion. And so we kind of have some rivals, and basically she sends letters when she's home. Like in this book, you can send them through like under the door and it just disappears. She thinks she's sending them to her brother who's at war, but she's actually sending them to Roman. So these two actually start sending letters, and I'm just gonna stop there because that is just, it's just like the way that this book was written, it's so romantic, it's so sweet and genuine and just passionate. The love in this book is just like, it was just so beautifully written. It kind of reminded me of like a 1940s going off to war, you're writing love letters to him, and then you like meet him in person, and it's just so romantic and cute. And the ending of this book left me in shambles. Like, I need ruthless vows right now, and I'm so excited for it. Like, I'm so excited for it. Yeah, this book was a 5 stars for me. Like, it was just an incredible, incredible book. It was a YA fantasy, but it had such mature elements to it, and it was so emotional and beautiful. So just because it's YA, don't let that steer you away. If you're not a fan of YA books, I still recommend picking this one up because it was so good. It was so cute, and Roman is just, it's just perfect. Okay, so the next book that I picked up is What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Wather. But yeah, this book is about a girl named Lily, and she and her school are doing like the senior pranks. Basically, this book just has like all of her experience from like setting up the senior pranks and setting all this stuff up, and you're basically doing it with her ex. Her ex is also setting it up. So you're kind of getting like their unrequited love, like they definitely still like each other and all of that. So yeah, that was super cute. But I actually gave this book a 3 stars. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but I just felt like in this book, for some reason, like they were doing so many things, and for some reason my I was just not there. I had a really hard time picturing it, which I am the kind of person who like pictures things when they're reading. Like I am imagining a movie, and I just had a hard time like feeling any way towards any of the characters. They all felt kind of two-dimensional to me. I just don't know that it was my kind of book. It felt like, I love YA, but this felt like very YA. There was just some things that they talked about, like, I don't know, it just wasn't like my kind of book. But I can see if it is your kind of book that you would really enjoy like the YA aspects of this book. It just felt kind of immature and kind of like dumb. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite book. So the next book that I picked up is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. But this book is about a girl named Mallory Quinn, and she's fresh out of rehab, and she's basically trying to find a job, and she comes across this job listing for nannying this 5-year-old boy named Teddy. And she basically goes, hits it off with the parents, hits it off with Teddy, and she begins her nannying position there. And basically in this book you are discovering the fact that Teddy draws pictures, and he starts to draw some suspicious pictures of a murder. So you're basically uncovering this murder that happened, and I'm not gonna say any more because it's kind of hard to like not like spoil it with that, but I remember hearing that synopsis and thinking that that was like super interesting, and the plot twist in this book is literally crazy. It's literally crazy. I read it and I was like, no way. Like I literally had no idea that's what they were gonna do with it. But yeah, this book was very cool. I gave it a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a really great psychological thriller. Also in this book, like you get provided like all of the drawings that like Teddy is drawing, and you're like, it's super cool. So like here's like an example of like a drawing that you get. It was really cool. So I really recommend picking this book up if you haven't, because it was just so interesting. So the next book that I picked up is Ward D by Frida McFadden, and I read that on my Kindle, and that book is crazy. It's about this girl, and she's a medical school, and basically part of medical school is having to go through the overnight shift at the psychiatric unit called Ward D. So you're basically going through this night with her, and she has someone that she knows who is in the psychiatric unit, and you're basically just like going through this night with her. Like some creepy stuff happens, some really interesting stuff happens. Like it's a pretty creepy book. I like really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75, and that's not saying that I didn't like it. I really did like it. I just felt like it wasn't as much as a developed story as I would have liked. I felt like it was very interesting. It was super creepy. It was like the vibes of like, you know what I mean, but it wasn't a super developed story to me. But I still really enjoyed it, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so it's free. So the next book that I picked up is The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and Ashley Poston is actually the author of The Dead Romantics that I read last year, and that's actually one of my 5-star reads. I literally love that book so much. So this is actually her new book that she literally just came out with, and this is about a girl named Clementine. Clementine has an aunt who claims that she has like a magical apartment, and her aunt does recently pass and offers up her apartment to her, so she goes and she moves into the apartment. So she then bumps into this guy in her apartment, and it's very interesting. He is actually from 7 years in the past, and she's 7 years in the future, so they're in completely 2 different timelines. So now you're basically faced with this like weird time travel element in this book, which I read the synopsis and I was like, oh, it's gonna break my heart because I already know where it's gonna go. And for me, their relationship wasn't developed enough for me to like cry over this book. I feel like they needed a lot more time in that apartment to develop their relationship for me to become like super emotional towards them. So they kind of lost me in their like developed relationship. I don't know, it's kind of confusing a little bit because I was just having trouble feeling super emotionally attached because they didn't have enough time for me to fall in love with them. I don't know. I don't know. I give it a 3.75 stars and everyone is literally loving this book. So I'm really upset that I didn't like fall in love with it like I did the Dead Romantics. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. I was literally expecting this to be a 5 stars for me. So I was kind of sad when it wasn't, but it might be for you. So I still recommend picking this book up if you haven't yet. The next book that I picked up is These Hollow Vows by Lizzy I, and this is actually a YA fantasy, and the plot of this book is kind of confusing. It's about this girl, she's a human, and she is actually enslaved in this fae world with her sister, and her sister gets taken, so you're basically going through this journey of this girl named Bree, and you're going through this journey with her to like find her sister, and she actually uncovers a lot of things about herself, and there's a love triangle in this book. It's like all fantasy books rolled into one, like all of these tropes. Like it reminds me of a little bit of Akatar, reminds me a little bit of The Cruel Prince, a little bit of like, you know what I mean, just like all of those books roll into one. I did really enjoy this book. I gave it a 4 stars. It was super cute. I thought it was YA, but there are some questionable scenes in this book, so I don't know that I would classify it as a YA. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was YA, but I did really enjoy this book, and I was very interested in the ending, and I am really excited to pick up the next book in this series that's actually coming out in paperback next month, so I will be picking that up. But yeah, this book was a really nice surprise. I did super enjoy it. So the next book that I picked up is Flawless by Elsie Silver, and I actually read that on my Kindle, and this was the start of a Chestnut Springs cowboy romance obsession for me. I gave this book 4 stars. This book has just been like all over the internet and I have not picked it up yet. I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't picked it up, but I literally fell in love with it. I give it a 4 stars. I just like loved it. Like it was just so cute. It's about this guy named Rhett, and he is a bull rider, and he basically makes a claim that he doesn't like milk, which for some reason I guess is like a big PR problem. So he basically gets assigned this girl named Summer, who's basically going to be his like PR manager, like babysitter, making sure he like keeps his head up and doesn't say anything stupid. So you basically just see a relationship develop within them, and it becomes super cute. And yeah, I just super enjoyed this book. The vibes were so incredible. Like it was just so unlike any book that I have read. I literally enjoyed this book so much, and I was so excited to get into the next books in the series. But yeah, Flawless by Elsie Silver, super cute. Okay, so the next book that I picked up is The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and this is actually their brand new book that literally just came out. This is about a girl named Kit, and Kit is a caretaker, and she recently gets hired to caretake for this lady named Lenora Hope. And Lenora Hope is like the town's boogeyman. She like is basically known for like killing her parents and killing her sister. So Kit is actually her caretaker, and so obviously Kit is like freaked out by her, but there's a way of communication that they both found out about, and that's with a typewriter. So you're basically just discovering what actually happened, and there's actually a pretty big plot twist. So I give this book a 3.75 stars, and the reason for that is because basically the plot twist happens like right here, and in the last like 100 pages you are like just delving more into the plot twist, and it kind of dragged on. It was kind of pulling teeth to finish a little bit. It was this book is like 400 pages, and for me that's a little too long for a psychological mystery thriller. I'd call this more of a I don't know, I feel like I would call this a murder mystery because it wasn't super psychological. I don't know, but it was way too long for me. It was like pulling teeth to finish. Like I was sitting there and I was like, I don't know if I can read this book. It was to that aspect. So it was just a little too long, and I don't know that I liked the pacing of the plot twist. I felt like they needed to like do it here and then just do some more with it, and instead they just dragged it for a long time. So the next book that I picked up is a book called Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders, and this is a psychological thriller, and it's basically about this girl named Mallory, I think. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm like trying to remember. But Mallory and her husband recently got married and had a child, and her husband actually has a daughter from a past wife. So she actually comes to visit their house, and this girl named Chloe, her name is Chloe, she's very weird, very like irate, very, I don't know why she's being super weird. Like she like is saying one thing, doing the other, being super weird. And you basically uncover really crazy stuff in this book. This book is so crazy. The plot twist in this book is literally nuts. They literally had me so hard. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. Like it was literally so crazy. This book is on Kindle Unlimited as well. Like I need you guys to pick this book up if you haven't. It was so good. The plot twist was incredible. I had chills to the bone. It was wild. It was nuts. So yeah, pick this book up if you haven't, because I literally loved it so much. I read it so quickly, like it was crazy. So yeah, so good. Then the next book that I picked up is Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score, and this book is interesting. This is an interesting book. This is about a girl named Marley, and Marley just broke up with her boyfriend. So Marley decides to move back home. She's 38 years old. She decides to move back home to her childhood hometown, and she is basically like not knowing what to do with her life. So her parents recommend becoming a soccer coach for the school that she went to when she was younger, and so she does that, and then she meets this guy that she actually had a crush on in high school. So there's a budding relationship there. I didn't like this book. I gave this book a 3 stars. This is a really tough. This is tough. So basically, she's 38 years old, and she literally gets coddled by her parents the whole entire time. The whole entire time, her mom is like making her sack lunch, and she's just like being coddled by her parents. As a 38-year-old, she moves back home, and I like can't even believe that. So she's getting like babied by her parents the whole book. Okay, like just babied the whole time. And not only that, but in this book, there's drama from high school that was 20 years ago, drama from high school that she is still pining about, and it actually deters her from like her job and things that she goes through in this book. And I'm like, I was in high school like 6 years ago, and I had so much drama with girls. If I saw them now, I wouldn't act like, I would literally act normal with them, because that's drama from high school. Like, your brain is not fully developed. Like, I just, I found this book to be, I found her to be just so immature, so emotionally immature. Like, it was honestly crazy, the lack of immaturity in this book. Like, I was like, I cannot believe that you are still wound up by this drama. Like, it baffles me. And every time like something would happen, I would literally roll my eyes so hard. It was just so, it was so ridiculous. Like, you're 38 years old. Like, buck up. Like, why are you still, like, why are you still bothered by this drama in high school? Like, I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, it was kind of annoying. But the cover's super cute. So, then goes into my last 3 books of this month, and they are all the rest of the Chestnut Spring series. So I read Heartless, Powerless, and Reckless, and I gave Heartless a 4.5 stars, I gave Powerless a 4.75 stars, and I gave Reckless a 5 stars. Guys, I read these books so quickly. Like, in these books, like, their relationships are so emotional, so just encapsulating and so amazing. Like, it was just so cute. Like, I fell in love with this series so fast. I just fell in love with these characters. Like, the found family in this book is honestly, it's crazy. So yes, guys, that is all of the books that I read in the month of July. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like, subscribe, do all the things that you guys know how to do, and I will see you in my next YouTube video. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.